When Henry Mercer Beidler, the former first mayor of Texarkana, awoke on Saturday, December 8, 1888, he had no way of knowing it would be the last morning of his extraordinary life. By the end of the day, Beidler would be dead, murdered in broad daylight on Broad Street, a brutal end to a life as colorful as the city he helped shape. Texarkana, straddling the Texas-Arkansas border, was long ago known as a gateway to the West. Today, most people know it as a city they pass through on Interstate 30. Few know the rich history of these two cities that have always seemed like one. Fewer still know the tale of Texarkana, Arkansas's first mayor, Henry Mercer Beidler, a visionary, inventor, and pioneer whose remarkable contributions to the city were overshadowed by his tragic demise. Born in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania in 1838, Beidler showed an early entrepreneurial spirit. By 1855, at just 17 years old, he owned a hotel in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, his hotel had its roof blown off during a fierce storm, earning Beidler his first mention in the historical newspapers. His restless ambition took him across the country. By 1867, he was living in Cook County, Illinois, where he patented a kerosene lamp. That same year, he married Amanda J. Allender, a young woman between the ages of 15 and 18 years old. Over the years, Beidler's name appeared on land deeds, patents, and city plans. In 1872, he patented a shelf for a chair, another invention reflecting his creative mind. By 1873, he had drafted a map of the ownership of Logan County, Illinois. But his journey eventually led him south to Miller County, Arkansas. When Texarkana, Arkansas was incorporated in 1880, just 7 years after Texarkana, Texas, Henry Beidler became its first mayor. The following year, his mayoral term ended, but his influence on the city was just beginning. By 1883, he was running for mayor again, filing patents, this time for an electromagnetic train wheel, and serving as a grand orator for the Texas American Legion of Honor. His purchase of swampland in Miller County was recorded in the newspapers. He was an honored guest for the opening of businesses and played a prominent role in civic life. Texarkana newspapers celebrated Beidler, sometimes referred to as Dr. Beidler, as an honored and distinguished citizen. They chronicled his comings and goings, the death of his beloved horse Molly in 1885, and even a terrifying runaway carriage incident that nearly killed his wife and young son, Senator. Beidler's boldness sometimes landed him in trouble. In 1885, he was arrested for trying to derail a train that stemmed from a land dispute with the Iron Mountain Railway. It escalated into what locals dubbed the Beidler War. Furious that the railway had built tracks on his property without his permission, Beidler placed a massive wooden spike on the rails to derail any trespassing train. He even slept on the tracks with only a pillow, daring the company to act. Saying to the rail workers to come on and run him over, he was ensured it was his land and his wife and family would benefit with the insurance payments and damages from the railroad. His defiance paid off. In 1886, a federal court awarded him $5,948 in damages. That is worth today $199,754. Just 2 years later, by 1888, Beidler's personal life was unraveling. He discovered his wife Amanda was having an affair with a man named A. Spear. Beidler divorced her and took their son, Senator, with him to Illinois. Amanda later died, also in 1888, under mysterious circumstances. Beidler suspected foul play by Spear. Returning to Texarkana, Beidler reportedly hired guards to watch over Amanda's body to prevent Spear from tampering with it, an episode that scandalized local newspapers. The simmering tensions with Spear exploded on December 8, 1888. Earlier in the day, Beidler and Spear ran into each other and had a physical altercation, in which Spear was seen as having won. Later that same day, the two men crossed paths again, and again became physically violent. But this time, Beidler was the clear winner. When Spear returned home, his 17-year-old son, Ed, saw his father and, enraged, grabbed a gun and set out to confront Beidler. Ed Spear found Beidler walking out of a saloon on the corner of Broad and Vine, which is now Olive. He crept up behind him and pulled the trigger. The gun misfired. Beidler turned, raising his hand to defend himself, but Ed fired again. This time the bullet struck true, and Beidler collapsed. He was carried to a nearby store where he later died. The city was shocked. Ed Spear was arrested for capital murder, and the trial drew immense public attention. Tempers flared when the judge allowed Ed to post bail, prompting a local newspaper editor to criticize the decision and earned his own arrest for contempt of court. The trial was eventually moved to Washington, Arkansas, due to fears that Ed Spear could not receive a fair trial in Miller County. Incredibly, despite the overwhelming evidence, Ed Spear was found not guilty. The verdict devastated Texarkana, a city mourning the loss of one of its favorite citizens. Henry Mercer Beidler's contributions to Texarkana were immense. He donated land for the waterworks, established neighborhoods, and created Beidler Park, likely Jefferson Park today. He even named streets, though most of those bearing his name have vanished over time. Only Senator Avenue, named for his son, remains. Though the city loved Beidler in life, his memory faded with the years. Today, his achievement and his tragic death are all but forgotten. But his story deserves to be told, not just the tale of his violent death, but also as a celebration of a man who helped build a city from the ground up.